Some Kabbalists emphasize the idea that Binah, the Holy Spirit, is feminine. Such an affirmation is mistaken. It has been said in the Divine Comedy with complete clarity that the Holy Spirit is the husband of the Divine Mother. Therefore, the Holy Spirit unfolds himself into his wife, into the Shakti of the Hindus. This must be known and understood. Some, when they see that the third Logos is unfolded into the Divine Mother Kundalini or Shakti, she that has many names, have believed that the Holy Spirit is feminine, and they have been mistaken. The Holy Spirit is masculine, but when he unfolds himself into she, then the first ineffable divine couple is formed. The Creator, Elohim, the Kabir, or Great Priest, the Rauch Elohim, that in accordance to Moses, cultivated the waters in the beginning of the world. The Hebraic Kabbalists speak unto us about the mysterious Sephiroth Da'ath that appears in the Tree of Life, the Sephiroth that has no designated divine name, nor angelic host of any type, and that has neither a mundane sign, planet, nor element. Da'ath, the Sephiroth of Hebrew mystery, is produced by the esoteric conjunction of Shiva Shakti, Osiris Isis, perpetually united in Yesod, the foundation, the ninth Sephiroth, the ninth sphere, sex, but hidden by the mysteries of Da'ath, which has the tantric knowledge, which is processed with the Sahaja Maithuna, or sexual magic, that when correctly utilized, permits the intimate realization of the being. It is necessary that all of us profoundly reflect, that we deeply comprehend all of this. He and she are united in the cubic stone of Yesod, which is sex. The perfect tantric knowledge is the outcome of the union of he and she, with which we can internally self-realize ourselves in all the levels of the being. Some Kabbalistic authors suppose that Da'ath, the Sephiroth that gives knowledge or sapience, comes from the fusion of the masculine cosmic Christ, Hokmah, with Binah, and assume that Binah is exclusively feminine. Such an affirmation is purely false, because the Holy Spirit is really masculine, and when he unfolds himself into the Divine Mother, the perfect couple is formed. In the cubic stone of Yesod, in the ninth sphere, tantric knowledge, the tantric initiation comes. The development of the serpent along the dorsal spine is possible by means of the tantras. In these studies of Kabbalah, we need to be practical. There are authors who write marvels, but when one looks at them, one realizes that they have not lived what they have written. They did not experience it in themselves, and that is why they are mistaken. I understand that one must write what one has directly experienced by oneself. I have proceeded in this way for my part. The cubic stone of Yesod, situated in the creative organs, is certainly that metallic soul which is the result of sexual transmutations. We can call this metallic soul the Mercury of secret philosophy, or when speaking with simpler language, creative energy. This energy in itself is allegorized or symbolized by the devil. When we say that we must work with the devil, this is in order to transform it into Lucifer, the maker of light. We are clearly referring to the labor in the great work. It becomes interesting that precisely here, in the cubic stone of Yesod, is where Shiva and Shakti, Osiris and Isis, are sexually united, and here is precisely where the tantric knowledge is found. The attainment of the intimate realization of the being is not possible without it. In the Eastern world, in Tibet, the monks are radical. For such reason, Helena Blavatsky thought that they were black magicians. All of us have repeated that mistake, and now we see the necessity for rectification. I am not affirming that the Drukpas are saints, that they are meek sheep. They are black magicians because they teach black tantra. However, the Bons, even when they use red caps, are not black as Blavatsky mistakenly supposed. Actually, if one amongst the Bons does not want realization of the self, but only the liberation of himself for a period of time in order to return into the sixth root race, or if he does not want to self-realize ever, but only wants to emancipate himself without realization of the self, he can achieve it. First of all, the neophyte is taken into an isolated place, and there, all of the inhuman elements that he possesses are invoked. This is performed with procedures of high magic in the isolated mountain. Those human elements become visible and tangible and intend to devour the neophyte. But if the neophyte remains serene, there is nothing more to do. He has become triumphant. Then he has to eliminate the ego, to reduce it to ashes and to work in himself. This ordeal and some mantras for disincarnation, which are 2 words, become the maximum efforts for the neophyte in the physical world. It is dreadful to see the Bon priest dressed with his white apron of skulls and dead bones, and with a red turban on his head, while holding a dagger with his right hand. The body of the neophyte falls instantaneously dead in the precise moment when he is pronouncing his 2 mantras of fatality. Then he is submitted to great ordeals in the internal worlds. He has to confront the fears of death. He has to tolerate the hurricane of karma. He has to become victorious in all that the father-mother will submit to him. He has to become victorious in all that the father-mother will submit him to. The goal is to be allowed to enter, or better if we say, to be reborn in a supra-human form. within any kingdom of the Devas, maybe in the kingdom of those of great concentration, or in the kingdom of those of long hair, or in the kingdom of Maitreya, or in the kingdom of supreme happiness, etc. And it is in that region where he is going to finish with his preparation for liberation. The Divine Mother assists him by eliminating his human elements, and finally he achieves the submergence of himself into the bosom of the great reality, not as a self-realized master, but only as an elemental Buddha. He submerges himself in that state until the 6th root race, with the purpose of self-realizing himself in that root race. Or he can remain forever converted into a Buddhic elemental and nothing else, but happy. Those who intend to liberate themselves, those who really want realization of the self, those that truly want to be converted into Mahatmas or Hierophants, must be submitted to tantric discipline and to work in the 9th sphere. All of Tantra, how to awaken the serpent, how to raise it, and how to open the chakras, etc., will be taught unto them. Therefore, it is discovered that the bonds are radical. One has to either work for the being or not. One goes with the purpose of realization of the self, or with the purpose of remaining without realization of the self. This has to be defined. Among the bonds, everything is severe, and for this reason, H.P. Blavatsky made judgment on them, considering them to be black magicians. But when one studies the Tantra of the bonds, one realizes that it is white, not black. I repeat, white. They, the bonds, transmute the sperm into energy in order to attain deep realization of the self. Yesod is lunar, and this we cannot deny. Within Gnostic esotericism, a woman appears, an ineffable divine virgin, dressed with a blue tunic and standing upon a moon. We have to understand this. The moon represents the Sephiroth Yesod, which signifies the sexual force. The blue-colored tunic represents night, within which the great mysteries of death and life are developed. The energy of the third logos must be worked with only at night. The work in the laboratorium of the Holy Spirit must be performed during the nocturnal hours. The Sahaja Mathuna can only be practiced in the darkness of the night, because during the day, the sun is opposed to any generation. If one puts a hen with her eggs in the light of the sun in order to incubate them, then these eggs will not attain the incubation, and if some chickens hatch, they will die, because the sun is an enemy of generation. Whosoever wants to search for the light must ask for it in the profound night, asking the Logos who is behind the sun that illuminates us. The crude reality is that because of the disposition of the creative organs, procreation is always achieved in the darkness. Because when the sperm exits the sexual glands, it does not exit illuminated by the light of the sun, but in darkness. In darkness, it opens its way through the fallopian tube in order to encounter the ovum, which descends from the ovaries, and within the darkness of the womb, gestation is achieved. But if this sperm, instead of exiting the sexual glands protected by the darkness, could exit under the light of the sun, and if the fetus was not in darkness and was uncovered in the womb of the woman in order for the sun to directly enter it, then it is obvious that failure would be a fact. Therefore, fecundation is performed always in darkness because of the disposition of the very organs of nature. This is why, in order for one day to attain the intimate realization of the being, the work must be performed within the obscurity of silence and within the august secret of the wise. This is what the Virgin of Immaculate Conception, who is standing upon the moon and dressed with a blue tunic, is indicating unto us. The work of the Mithuna is performed within the darkness of night. We must warn that the practice must never be performed 2 successive times in the same night. The practice is allowed only 1 time a day. When sexual magic is practiced 2 successive times, then violence against nature exists, because the law of the creative magnetic pause is violated. It is also urgent to know that the spouse must never be obligated by force to practice Mithuna when she is sick or with her menstruation, or when she is pregnant, because these are crimes of violence against nature. The woman who has given birth to a child can only practice Mithuna 40 days after childbirth. There also exists the crime of violence against nature when the man or the woman forces their mate to perform the copulation when the organism of the spouse is not found in the suitable conditions for intercourse. There also exists such a crime when the man or the woman obligate themselves to perform copulation even with the best intentions of realization of the self and with the pretext of performing sexual magic, when in reality the creative organs are not found in the precise, amorous moment and in the favorable harmonious conditions which are indispensable for copulation. Inferential peace.